About a year ago, I made this video. I theorized how Street Fighter 6 Alex would play based off of what we saw with Honda, Guile, Jury, and pretty much going over his Street Fighter 5 and Third Strike iterations and seeing what could happen. And a year later, it's safe to say that we were all wrong. I don't think anyone could have suspected that he would be turned into a stance character, but here we are. And 3 weeks ago, I made this video. And in that video, we went over all his stuff that was released in the gameplay trailer. And the more time that has passed, the more I have been dooming. I've been pretty afraid of the way they kind of made him. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm 100% excited to try out this new iteration of Alex and him being more of a stance character now. But I'm not going to lie. Yeah, these past 3 weeks, I've kind of just been thinking in my head, just like some of the special moves that he used to have are now locked behind stance. So there's a few things that I have been concerned about, primarily EX elbow and EX stomp. But I'm going to show you a little bit on why the more I kind of went back and forth through Street Fighter 6 and Street Fighter 5 and why me dooming has now been more, I guess, alleviated. But yeah, let me actually show you a couple of the stuff that was released at Tapai Game Show, and I'll go into Street Fighter 6 and Street Fighter 5 and just kind of show you on why I'm not dooming anymore. So let's talk a little bit about a stance. So Alex's stance, it's 2 punches and you press down, so pretty much just like Aki's input. So he can go forward, go back. We don't know if the back can count as like a sway, kind of like DJ right now, or if it's just literally just, you know, a kind of back roll. At least that's what the gas leak said. The animation is like a back roll. So if you press forward and punch, that's his elbow. He only has one version, unfortunately. His stance jab is just a regular jab. Looks like a crouching. We don't know if it can go under fireballs or not. Gas leak says that it can, but who knows? His medium punch from stance is now his old crouch heavy punch from Street Fighter 5 and Street Fighter Third Strike. Heavy punch is Lariats, the button we know and love. They also gave it armor, which is great. And then you got his stomps. His light kick is going to be a hop that looks like a stomp animation at first, which is great. It's going to be good for parry baits or just EXTP baits. And his medium kick is just a regular stomp. Gas Leak says that it's steerable. How steerable it is, we don't know. But it looks from the gameplay trailer, it looks pretty maneuverable. Should we keep that? Maneuverable?
Maneuverable.
And then you got the target combo, kind of like Guile, 2 kicks, heavy kicks. His regular throw, we don't know if it's a command throw, kind of like Marissa's, or if it's literally just a regular throw. No one has said anything about that in the gas leaks. And then his down and regular throw is a armbar slash DDT when it's a punish counter. Now that is a command throw, but the way I'm looking at it right now, it's not going to be very good. So let's get into one of the first things that I was kind of dooming about, and that is his EX elbow. His EX elbow in Street Fighter 5 was, I would say it was a pretty good defensive option. It started on frame 3, so obviously you couldn't use it like as a wake-up option if you got meatied, because you would get stuffed and you would just be wasting a bar for no reason. But in Street Fighter 6, I don't think he loses out on losing EX elbow being armor on frame 3, and I'm going to explain that right now. Actually, since they removed elbow from an actual special move, you know, elbow you used to just hold back and then you press a kick button and then it would come out. So, you know, you would have your regular light, you would have your medium, and then heavy would obviously go the furthest. And then EX would go all the way to your opponent. So one of the first things that I am concerned about is that elbow, or EX elbow to be more precise, has an armor property. It started on frame 3, so it wouldn't be the best wake-up option to go with. And some people will disagree, but I obviously don't agree. Once you hit that 3rd frame, you could go ahead and use it for some defense options. So for example, I'm going to have Chun go into a pretty common thing that a lot of Chun players did in Street Fighter 5. So stand medium punch and crouch medium kick. So normally, since she's +3 on it, most characters can't press a button in between. Otherwise, they'd get counter hit just like that. and then Chun would be able to go into another conversion off of this. So one thing that you could do instead of trying to challenge with a button, which was the most common thing to do, is you could EX elbow through it. This was not real, and you didn't have to hold pressure like this. Most characters didn't have that luxury. If you had V-Trigger 1 activated as well, you could obviously parry through it. And then you'd be able to punish with, you know, since you're plus 12 there, you could do something like Lariat. If you want to be safer about it, you could punish with something like this. You know, your basic standard Street Fighter V stuff. That's pretty much the huge concerning thing that I'm worried about, which as the game that Street Fighter 6 is, you know, there's a whole lot of drive rush, a whole lot of hold my plus frames kind of stuff. So unless if you're Sagat, there isn't a whole lot of characters that have a plus button that happens to be a medium, but there is a lot of stuff in Street Fighter 6 where you have to hold the plus frames. So maybe it might be like a drive rush jab, or it might be like a drive rush medium, even like a drive rush heavy. In those scenarios, I would say that EX elbow would be very nice to have, and Alex he's not going to have it anymore. I don't want to say that it's too big of a loss, but it does kind of suck to have. For example, Marissa can just armor through a lot of stuff. Oh, actually, you know what? I have the perfect example for you. So, for example, since Alex isn't going to have a whole lot of moves that can get through armor, so something like this, Marissa could get through it because she has armored moves. Her Gladius Punch won't work here just because it's a 4-frame startup. Her stance, I believe, is a 3-frame startup. So that's why it's actually working here. Yeah, you can see it, the 2 little blue dots, and then the armor kicks in frame 3. She can defend against this pretty well. EX elbow would have been perfect to use here. But since Alex isn't going to have something like that, this is where I'm sure you've seen it in pro play a whole lot more than you've seen it in ranked, depending on which rank you're at. You're just going to have to learn specific matchups and learn when you're going to have to go for stuff like this. There I was off by a frame, or it's actually, yeah, you're just going to have to go for stuff like this, or something a little bit more specific, which would be something like this, and then you get your drive rush stuff going. You know, it's literally just going to be playing Street Fighter 6. You're going to have to be good at Street Fighter 6. You can't rely on something like EX elbow to kind of be a get out of jail free card. You're literally just going to have to lab how to get good at stuff like this, and that's, I feel like, is gonna make or break a whole lot of Alex players in 6. I've already kind of been joking around on Discord of how Alex being a stance character is already going to filter a whole lot of people from playing or maining Alex in Street Fighter 6. Really understanding Alex's tools in 6 and getting good at the game, or perfect pairing certain things, is just going to be vital. EX elbow here would be amazing, or would have been amazing to have, just because Marissa's, you know, it kicks in frame 3, so you can defend against stuff like this. Obviously, it would lose if Luke went for something like a light fireball instead of a heavy fireball, which I'm using in this example. But, you know, it's a fighting game. There's answers to everything, unless if you're against like JP and you're like full screen. But but yeah, that's pretty much the gist of it. You are not going to do well with Alex if you're not really that great at utilizing Street Fighter 6 as mechanics. That's just the bottom line here. That, and you're just gonna have to get good at learning the character or knowing what to use with them, you know? Yeah, that's pretty much all I'll say about that. So part of the reason why I was dooming so much was honestly the way Street Fighter V was designed. So I thought EX elbow was a pretty alright defensive option in that game, but the reason why I kind of thought that losing it was gonna be like big in 6 was because I thought our defense was going to be a lot worse. That is not the case at all. The reason why I've kind of changed from a doomer to more of kind of seeing it not being that bad on losing EX elbow having armor was pretty much just because of the way Street Fighter 6 is designed. There aren't a whole lot of characters that have a plus a medium button. Now, obviously, in those matchups, it would be great to have an armored move like EX Elbow, but I don't think it's going to matter too much as I was thinking. So the only characters that have a plus medium button, from what I took notice, is Jamie, Juri, DJ, Honda, Chun, Rashid, Akuma. The most obvious one making waves this season is Sagat, and lastly is Viper. My main gripe or concern was that Alex would not be able to EX elbow through a lot of things like stand medium punch to stand medium punch, which is a very common thing that Sagat players will do right now. If you press a button, you will hit him, but it's going to lead into a trade combo that deals a lot of damage. So stuff like that is going to suck. But at the same time, it's he's going to be so much more different in this iteration that I don't know if it's really going to matter that we've lost that. Because obviously in this game, we have parry, we have DI. If they buff drive reversal, maybe we might use that a lot more in the next season. But as of right now, I think the way Alex is really going to work, you're just going to have to be good at the system mechanics. That's all what it's going to come down to at this point, is what I feel like. And with the way they're building Alex around his stance right now, it looks like they're going to want you, I guess, to utilize more of the system mechanics and his stance to probably work around each other, drive rushing, mixing stance in there. I heard from Gas Leaks that Stomp is plus. That's another thing that I'm kind of concerned about. This one I think is a lot more valid. I'm still kind of dooming about, because as far as we know, Alex doesn't have anything to really get past fireballs at this point. Any projectiles? Gas Leaks said that he could possibly go under them as he's kind of going forward. We kind of saw that with Luke, but that was a horrible example that I don't know why they even added. That was possibly the worst example they could have shown. Especially with Luke's light fireball. But there's a lot of things that we're not going to be able to defend against if that's the case. So let's switch to Street Fighter V real quick, and let me show you why that kind of sucks. So one of the very first examples on why I want to show that losing a projectile invincibility on Stomp, or I guess EX Stomp, since we don't have access to that in 6th, is that you could avoid a lot of dumb stuff on Wake Up that other characters just wouldn't be able to do. They would have to either use super or just block. So one of the first things I want to show is this. You could turn a very cornered, disadvantageous position into a pretty advantageous position here. So another thing that you could defend against would be something like Chun-Li's V-Trigger 2. With Chun-Li specifically, a lot of Chun-Li players in this game, if they were using V-Trigger 2, they would either use it raw like that, Alex could defend against this, or they would do something cheeky where it would be like, off that first, something like that, or something like that. Against other characters, it would be real. You can't press a button in between that. If you did, you could get clipped. But against someone like Alex, this option would not be available. So yeah, they would get... Nah, you can't press anything after that. But Alex could defend against that pretty well. There are situations that are kind of like that in 6 as well. For example, like Luke doing crouch medium punch or stand heavy punch into his fireball blast. So another thing that I want to cover pretty quickly is some of the gas leaks that were not shown, but pretty much talked about at Taipei Game Show and the SFL Grand Finals. So Alex apparently has this. This is apparently making a comeback in Street Fighter 6. So obviously you'll do your stance, you'll do your little dash up to here, and then if they block Lariat, you can do Powerbomb right after. Now, I don't know if here I'm doing light Powerbomb. The speculation is that Lariat is +4 on block, just like how it is in 5, which is it's already +4. Powerbomb in Street Fighter 6 is apparently a pretty long startup, just like in Street Fighter 5. So if I remember correctly, I think they could actually press a button versus Lariat, and I think Powerbomb would actually lose here. Yeah, okay, so I wasn't wrong. I thought I was remembering incorrectly, but no. So if Powerbomb is let's see, what's the startup on this? It actually doesn't tell you the startup here. 8 frames. 8 frame startup, I want to say. I could be wrong. It'll be somewhere on the screen. It's like what it actually is. But I do remember medium power bomb is a 6 frame startup. So that would actually win. So medium power bomb will work. I don't know if this is going to work in 6. It really just depends on if Lariat is indeed +4. If it's +3, it still should be fine because medium punch is +3 right here. And medium power bomb still works, and that's a 6 frame startup. So yeah, as far as Lariat goes, if it's +4, it should be fine. Even if it's +3, that should be fine as well. Medium power bomb is the biggest factor or question mark that we have for 6. We don't know if it's if it has the same range as 5. Hopefully it does. Light is amazing for range, but you know, the large startup would make it susceptible to losing to stuff like jab after Lariat. But honestly, you really shouldn't even be using light power bomb in this situation, just because Lariat would leave you so close. Yeah, heavy wouldn't work here. Heavy would be too far away. But my prediction, my theory is that for 6, they are probably making the power bomb ranges just like how it is in 5 right now. So 5's power bomb range, light power bomb range at least, is crazy far. Like I can't believe that like works. That's insanely far. My hope is that they didn't keep a lot of things the same from 5 to 6, but if there's one thing that I do want them to keep the same from this specific situation, since they're categorizing Lariat to be a special move since it's locked behind stance now, I would hope that it would be it would keep the same properties for it being +4 and also being able to do something like medium power bomb, being in range to do something like medium power bomb right afterwards. EX, obviously it's pretty damn good. I expect it to be pretty damn good in 6 as well. I think that's pretty much the only concerns that I had for as far as 6 goes. EX elbow, I've talked about enough. That I'm not too concerned about anymore. That's just going to be a matter of getting good with Street Fighter 6 system mechanics. Stomp, we're gonna have to experiment a little bit more with this. It's +2 in this game, so if it's +2 in Street Fighter 6, I think that's gonna be pretty fine because you can press a jab button after this. So judging from gas leaks, they say that Alex's Sustained Medium Punch is pretty much the same as in Street Fighter 5, and what I mean by that, it's supposed to be a 6 frame startup as well. So a lot of the stuff that's possible with this button currently, hopefully it's going to be possible in 6 as well. So the mix-up off of Lariat is pretty much, am I going to go for the medium punch or am I going to go for the power bomb? In 6, it's going to be a little bit more risky to go for the medium punch just because you don't know if they're going to parry or not. But this, I feel like, is still going to be a pretty strong mix-up just because I don't think they would want to risk a parry here, because what if you just go for like a crouch button? So yeah, there's a lot that we're gonna be able to play with in 6 after we finally either get the release of the guide and obviously once the character comes out. And one more thing that I did forget to mention about Stand Medium Punch is that his Stand Medium Punch is also going to be +2. So it's going to be another one of those +2 buttons, just like the Gadd. They might make that +2 medium punch on block for the Alex patch be +1, maybe 0. But as far as gas leaks go, apparently Alex's Stand Medium Punch is going to be +2 as well. If the startup on this is actually 6 frames, and if they keep Stomp the same, which is +2, then this is another thing that they could be afraid of. They could be afraid if you're going to go for the Stand Medium Punch, or you could go for, that was heavy power on there, that's why it didn't work. Or you can go for the medium power bomb. If they give these things back to Alex, then I think this will be pretty damn good for him. Yeah, allegedly, gas leaks. I'm not trusting them, but Stomp is supposed to be plus. We don't know the exact how plus it is. Gas leaks apparently say medium punch is 6 frames. And the most important thing is heavy flash chop is also going to be plus. So before in this game, Street Fighter 5, you would obviously have to go for the Yami drop right there if you thought that they were going to go for a button or something like that. So in this game, you had to kind of do it. I think it's like a 2 frame window that you have time to kind of do this. which I don't think it was that hard. You had to kind of just practice it, and then you could get it every single time. But this was actually a pretty scary mix-up, especially since EX backdrop could feed into pressure. So in this game, this is what you had to do. In 6, it's natively just like plus. We don't know how plus. Apparently, someone said that I think you could go for a powerbomb mix-up. This is going to be like a true mix-up. It's not going to be a complete gimmick. Instead of going for a Yami drop cancel, you don't have to go for the cancel at all. You can just go for the complete like block. You won't get punished for it. And you can go for either a powerbomb, or you can do like a regular throw afterwards, or you could probably go for a light combo. Or more than likely, you know, like jab into crouch medium punch, drive rush, and play Street Fighter 6 stuff. Well, like I mentioned before, Street Fighter 6 is just completely designed differently, so we just have to wait till he comes out before we can actually fully spiral into a deep despair. Maybe he's just going to be decent. Maybe he's going to be good. Now, there's a whole lot more things that we could talk about here, like knee and DDT and everything, but I think it's a little too early to kind of doom about that. Now, the only thing that I will say is that Alex doesn't really have a good high-low game. He hasn't ever had a pretty much a good high-low game, and it looks like they're keeping the same thing for 6. So I doubt that you're going to see a whole lot of DDTs in 6. As of right now, I really think that's going to be a meme move. It's going to be a meme. Just use it for memes, essentially. We either wait for the guide or we wait for us to be able to experiment with all that. So yeah, those were a few of my concerns. I started dooming at first, and then now I'm kind of, the more I think about it, there's a lot of variables that we don't know for sure. Whether there's going to be characters that are going to be better than Alex, or that do things that Alex does that will do it better as far as tournaments go. Probably, I think there's going to be a lot more of characters that you could choose from that will get you a lot better results with a lot less work. But I think the way that I'm thinking Alex is going to be right now is he's going to be same thing kind of like in Street Fighter 5, where he's going to be that specialist character, a character where you're going to have to be good at the system mechanics, you're going to have to be good at knowing your tools with Alex. You're pretty much just going to have to be good at Street Fighter 6, and you're gonna have to be good and knowledgeable about the character, is my assumption. But who knows? There's still a lot of unknowns that we don't know about. So I don't know. He's been bad in literally every single game he's been in until Street Fighter 5's last season. So I don't have a lot of hope for the character being decent or that great in 6. Like I've mentioned in previous videos, it doesn't really matter to me. I'll still play him regardless. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments. I'd love to read what you guys if some of you have been going down that deep spiral of despair as well. And yeah, that's about it. Hope you guys liked the video. If you haven't subscribed already, please do. I would appreciate it. But with that being said, I'll see you boys hopefully very soon.